Hi, I'm Nico. I'm a voice director. And this discussion annoys me with all its half-informed and often self-righteous takes. Why do dubs in different languages differ in quality so much? Couple reasons. First off, perception. Yes, that's the obvious part, but it's still important. If you don't properly speak a language, the mistakes and problems go right past you. Much like all the nuance that comes from understanding regional accents, emphasis on certain words, or plain old idioms that subtitles can't translate in words. But the deeper meaning may still be very lost on the non-speaker. Example. Heiß und Fettig in the German dub of Akashic Records of Bastard Magical Instructor.
Heiß und Fettig!
Oh.
The meaning as a German idiom is, careful, I'm coming through and I will run you over if you don't move. It's quite the slang term too, but if it just says hot and greasy, you'd be very confused on what the hell this is even talking about. Perception matters. Secondly, I can already hear the people say, actors! Japan has proper voice acting schools, so their actors are better and they always sound better and kindly shut the f*** up, you are like 3 steps too early. The actual actors are way down the list, because they are only the visible part of the industry, and therefore the ones to catch the most of the hands.
Oh!
No. Secondly, we have the dialogue book. That's
The thing!
that contains all of the lines of all of the actors in the show. The person writing that sometimes is the actual voice director, but that's not a given. That dialogue, especially in the translations, can make or break the thing.
What thing? The thing!
Sometimes the original dialogue is just lame and boring and the author of the translated version was simply more capable. Kaguya Love is War is a prime example, as the English dub switched up most of the narrator lines for Ian Sinclair's performance and accidentally made him the most loved character in the entire dub. Not to say the rest was bad, however, they all did fantastically.
And suddenly Shirogane is very interested.
However, it can work the other way around too, where in the case of German Sailor Moon, for example, so much was changed that it barely was even the same story anymore.
Which is illegal! You're not supposed to do that!
Third, the casting, which is what most people hang their entire line of arguments onto. No, this is not the part where I speak about the actors, although yes, that is the part where I speak about the casting of the actors. Trust me, it'll make sense in a bit. And yes, it can be pretty damn terrible or amazing. Going back to My Dress Up Darling, the American casting is worlds above everything else as far as Japanese and German goes. Can't really speak for the rest as I didn't watch it. Amanda Lee takes the cup with flying colors in literally every scene that mattered for the story. Are you really gonna die on this hill? Well, someone is. However, on the flip side, that does not mean the casting for Japanese is bad. The German one kinda is actually. But what made the Murica dub special is all found in the deep understanding of what the voice quality needs to be.
I am under the water. Please help me.
A director's job is to look beyond just the voices and see the emotional as well as the studio range, which essentially just means their willingness and capability to go all out in a studio environment. Because believe it or not, there are actors that are 10, but entirely unable to perform at their best in an outside studio. It's a mental issue, but it's not defeatable for everyone. You depressed folks know what I mean. Luckily, home studios exist. But back to topic. The fourth reason that dubs sometimes heavily differ in quality is found in the same directors I just mentioned. The direction plays a gargantuan part in the way the entire dub comes together. This is the part where the actors get their roadmap to where the character truly needs to be. In Marin's case, it would be quirky, energetic, friendly, outgoing, happy, nerdy, and bearing her heart on her tongue.
Bruh.
Keeping all this in mind, the director has to be this character's very best friend. Know them inside and out to literally see where they go out of character and correct when necessary. Good, streamlined direction with a strong Good streamlined direction with a strong narrative vision is literally what most people cherish about the Japanese dubs, although they likely could not point it out. You may have noticed that a strong artistic vision is something that you just find in basically every Japanese musician and very many games and animes. This kind of work ethic also goes into direction, leading to a very consistently strong dub, if it's strong to begin with. Often, you can tell when the direction was done inexperienced or without any actually coherent vision for every line. It's when actors really start to swim a little that you can basically tell the director was quite unsure. Otherwise, he could have corrected it. Furthermore, the director is entirely responsible for the mood in the booth. If the actor feels unwell, pressured, or otherwise... Ach nein, the German came so really hard here. Or otherwise negatively, there is a high chance the recording sounds professional, but is ultimately way under its targeted level. Sometimes you also literally just not vibe. It happens. Art relies on feelings, real emotion. And sometimes that real emotion ends up being, you are the most miserable bitch I ever had the displeasure of knowing.
You're so rough. You never show me any mercy.
Needless to say, that won't end up being a wonderful friendship. Or it's just perfect, as the Hanging Tree song from Tributes of Panem literally only became such a success because the director forced Jennifer Lawrence to sing. She absolutely hated it, and it became the movie's most memorable scene. As stated before, a good director sees beyond the voice and understands the scene and the actors in it better than the actors do themselves. Which leads us to the highly anticipated fifth reason. The actors. The culmination of all the prior points. Everything else flows into the performance of the actors like rivers into a sea. It's a very delicate kind of balance.
Please give me huggy wuggies. Ooh woo.
What the fuck are you saying?
But there is one specific thing about the actors that tops off the performance, or entirely ruins it. Yes, the acting school for voice acting is of course helpful, as most good education tends to rather help than block. But that's not the point. The part I mean is the personal experience and compassion. Now, that might sound strange, but what I mean by that is that a deeply personal bond to a role or character will always outdo any sort of education or training. Obviously you should bring some kind of, experience, but that's...
Well, duh.
Far Cry 3, Bossfightmedia I. A villain so bizarre and yet so human.
Thick shaft that causes women to shudder.
A character that yeeted the entire Far Cry franchise into a main workhorse position all on his own. Why? Because the voice work was outstanding in every sense of the word. And that comes from his actor Michael Mando being Voss. He created him, yes, but he understood him. There was a deep compassion to the things Voss were going through that pulled his character into reality in a way literally only Michael Mando could pull off.
That's fair.
Now, of course, being an actor is understanding the role, but no acting can ever go as deep as actual personal experience. The German voice actor for Samwise from Lord of the Rings actually took a photo of his freshly born son with him to the audition so he could cry in earnest. And that is why the voice cracks in the very famous "I cannot carry it for you, but I can carry you" scene hit so very hard.
Ich kann ihn nicht für dich tragen, aber ich kann dich tragen.
Because they were real. The overwhelming feeling of needing to protect what's dearest to you was seeping from every word, and it showed. That is what acting is all about. And I hope you now see why I say that the casting process is one thing. The actors, their mindset, their current life situation, them being human, is what ultimately matters in the studio, and can elevate the experience or kill it with a razor so blunt you might as well take a spoon. Whew, if you made it this far, thank you. I hope this little say gave you a couple new viewing angles about voice acting as a whole. Maybe you will actually try and point out the things you don't like instead of just condemning one thing or the other. If you like informative content about voice acting like this, then please consider subscribing. There is loads more where this comes from, including future comparisons of different anime dubs and detailed analysis of why certain video game scenes just hit like they did. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day. Catch ya!